Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline and this is Made with Books. Now you know I don't do monthly TBRs, but then when there's a lot of great read-alongs, buddy reads or readathons going on, then I want to do a TBR to announce that I'm participating. So the first thing I want to talk about is a buddy read that I have going on in July. And that will be The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. This is on my 30 books to read until I turn 30 list, and I think by this point it's safe to say that I'm not going to read all the 30 books. But I'll talk about that in a separate video. And I will be reading this with Summer from Summer Dawn, Claudia from Spinster's Library, and from Beyond the Pages, and Sharon from Sharon Go Forth, who is, by the way, a fairly new booktuber, so go check her out and subscribe if you haven't already. And obviously all the other lovely ladies as well. I will link to all of their channels down below and anything else that I mentioned in this video. The next thing I want to mention is a read-along that is hosted by Mark from Words Everywhere, and you should all join in because it sounds like a lot of fun. And he wants to bring some joy and cheerfulness to BookTube, which I think is a wonderful idea. I will again link his announcement video down below. And he is reading P.G. Wodehouse in the month of July. And basically we're gonna read with him one P.G. Wodehouse book about Wooster and Jeeves every week. The first week is The Inimitable Jeeves and the second one is Carry On Jeeves, and those two are short story collections, and I do have them in this bind up, The World of Jeeves. For some reason though in my collection they are not in the right order, so I had to look online what the right order is for reading them. I mean, they're short stories so it doesn't really matter. But so I will definitely join in for the first 2 weeks, and the second 2 weeks are The Code of the Woosters, and then in the final week Joy in the Morning. And those two are novels set in the same universe, and I plan on joining in, but I have to get the books first and I don't want to buy too many more books. I know I haven't done a haul in a long time, but the reason isn't that I haven't been acquiring books, trust me, I have. But let's not speak of it any further. I will probably end up buying them anyway and join in because I want to. It sounds like a lovely read along. And I know that I enjoy these stories because I started reading this before and have really enjoyed it, but it was during my studies and I just got sidetracked and stopped reading them. And then the final thing where I will be reading along or joining in is Austen July. This is hosted by Katie from Books and Things and Marissa from Blatantly Bookish, and I will link both of their announcement videos down below. So I'll just go along the prompts of the read-along that is going on for the whole month of July. And yeah, so the first prompt is to read one of Jane Austen's 6 novels. Now last year I read Northanger Abbey and Mansfield Park, and that actually completed my reading of all of Jane Austen's novels, which I'm quite happy with. So I'm gonna reread a novel for this, and it's gonna be the first Jane Austen novel that I ever read, and I haven't read it since, and I read it as a teenager, so it's been a long time. And that is Sense and Sensibility. And this actually works out quite well because Katie and Marissa are also hosting 2 read-alongs of Jane Austen novels, and for the first half of July they're hosting a read-along for Sense and Sensibility. For the second half, if you want to join in, they're hosting a read-along of Northanger Abbey. They have a Goodreads group, which I will also link down below, so you can join in for that one. But since I read it last year, I decided to just read Sense and Sensibility this time around. The next prompt is to read something by Jane Austen that is not one of her main 6 novels. And for that I'm going to definitely read Sanditon and the Watsons by Jane Austen. I know Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading has recently read these 2. I don't know if she has talked about them yet, if so I missed it, but I will definitely read those. And I have this nice binder up called Sanditon and Other Stories in the Everyman's Library edition, and it's a really cool edition that has a lot of her juvenilia in it as well, so it has all of her juvenilia I think, and then also some miscellaneous, so a plan of a novel, verses and prayers. So ideally I will read all of this in the month of July, but I'll see how it goes. But I'll definitely read the Watsons and Sanditon. The next prompt is to read a non-fiction work about Jane Austen or her time, and I thought that on our shelves we don't have any book that would apply, and I didn't want to buy anything new. So first I thought I would skip this or would cheat by saying I will read the introduction in this book and also the chronology. But as I flicked through the chronology, I realized there is a book that we have that matches this challenge, and that is A Vindication of the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft. Now, Jane Austen lived from 1775 to 1817, and this book was published in 1792, so smack dab in the middle, sort of. And Mary Wollstonecraft herself lived from 1759 to 1797. So this works out quite well. And it is a non-fiction, and it is about, she wrote it about her time as far as I understand. And it's obviously one of the earlier important texts of feminism that I have yet to read, so I think this is a perfect pick. The fourth prompt is to read a retelling of a Jane Austen book, and I have one on our shelves that I have owned since I was a teenager when I first discovered Jane Austen, and I found this for cheap somewhere and I picked it up. And that is The True Darcy Spirit by Elizabeth Aston. This isn't about, well, I guess it's about the Darcy family, but it isn't about Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, but rather about Cassandra Darcy, who I guess is like a next generation or so. And she, I think, wants to make it on her own independently, but she does need connections, and she meets one of her Pemberley cousins, but I don't think it is Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. I think it is somebody else. So it is, I don't know if it counts as a retelling, but it still uses that universe, so we'll see how this one goes. But I do think that I also want to pick up one more book for that I found on my audiobook app, and that is Pride by Ibi Zoboi. From what I understand, this is a YA story, and it's obviously a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it is set in the US. It's about Zuri Benitez, who lives in, I guess, a poorer neighborhood, and it's about gentrification, cultural identity and class. And yeah, this one sounds really interesting. I haven't read anything by Ibi Zoboi yet. I know that American Street made quite the rounds on BookTube a while ago. So yeah, that one I think will be a proper reread, but this is the one that I have on my shelf. But I think I'll pick up both. Prompt number 5 is to read a book by a contemporary of Jane Austen. And Katie said that you can define this a bit loosely, so she would still count books that were published like 10 years after Jane Austen died, or I think 10 years before she was born. And because of that, one book that she mentioned that would be could be used for this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I think that works quite well because then I will be reading mother and daughter in the same month, which is an idea I really like, because Mary Wollstonecraft, if you didn't know, is the mother of Mary Shelley. So I think that is kind of cool. She is a contemporary of Jane Austen in a sense. She was born 1797, so while Jane Austen was still alive, although she died much later in 1851. And Frankenstein was published 1 year after Jane Austen died, so 1818. But as Katie said, she would still consider this to count. But even if it doesn't, Mary Wollstonecraft would also fulfill this prompt. So yeah, this is the one I intend to read. Prompt number 6 is to watch a direct screen adaptation of a Jane Austen novel. And I think because I'm going to reread Sense and Sensibility, I'm going to try to get my hands on the Sense and Sensibility BBC adaptation, I think it is. The one with Emma Thompson, which I haven't seen yet, and I've heard lots of good things about. And I mean, it has Emma Thompson in it, so what could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I will see if I can get my hands on that one. If I can't, then I will just rewatch for the umpteenth time the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, which is my absolute favorite. Last prompt, prompt number 7, is a modern screen adaptation. And a movie I would like to watch for this, but I don't know if I can get my hands on it. It was on German Netflix for a while, but I missed it, and it's been a long time since it was on there, and that would be the Bollywood version Pride and Prejudice, which I think sounds hilarious and fun. But if I can't get my hands on this, there's a bunch of YouTube series that Katie and Marissa pointed out in some of their videos. There's one called Emma Approved, which obviously is a modern retelling of Emma. There are the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which I do think I will watch. There's From Mansfield with Love and the Kate Morland Chronicles, and since I read Mansfield Park and Northanger Abbey last year, I might check those out. And there's also Eleanor and Marianne Take Barton, which again would make a lot of sense because I'm gonna be reading Sense and Sensibility. But I'll see which one I end up watching, which one I'll enjoy the most. Probably I might check them out all and see which one I'll go with. And yeah, I mean, I will also try to read some more books from my 30 till 30 list, and I will definitely also pick a book on dementia for my dementia series, but I haven't decided which one yet. I will announce that in my video on Still Alice. But yeah, that is all I have for today. Are you joining in for Jane Austen July, or what is your favorite Jane Austen novel, or do you hate Jane Austen? In which case, get off my lawn. No, but seriously, that's fine too. Or have you never read Jane Austen but want to? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye guys!